guys, it's Darren on your screen again. I know, shitty lighting. It's what we have. It's what I'm gonna work with. And today I came to you to talk about books I've taken way too long to read. I know my channel is kind of like all over the place. I don't have a set thing on it. But lately I've just been watching a lot of booktube and I wanted to talk more about books. I still plan on doing a January reads. I've read 4 books so far this month. And since it's like the 25th, I don't think, and since it's the 25th, I don't think I will read more than that because I'm stuck on the 4th book. It's a book about freaking Superman and I'm only reading because I got it for free. I'm not particularly interested in Superman. So I got in a reading slump because of this book. But anyway, I'm gonna start talking about the books I've taken way too long to read. Okay? Yes, let's go. I damaged the cover. But whatever, it's not like I really care about this collection anyway. One of the books that I've taken way too long to read was City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. You know this beauty right here. It has Alec on the cover. He's my favorite character, so at least there's that, but I've also recently heard things about Cassandra Clare that are like, ooh. Okay. Anyhow, this took me so long to read because the further in the story that we get, the more dramatic and pointless and boring it gets. I started reading the series like when I was 14, I believe, and I loved it. I was especially fond of freaking Clace, which is Clary and Jace. But now they just make me want to kill them. Both. Like, I love the world building of the Mortal Instruments series. Like, I think it's so interesting and it's so good and it's so, like there's so much lore behind it. But at the same time, these characters suck. I fucking hate them. Except for Izzy, Magnus, and Alec. And Max, but he freaking dies. Like, the rest just makes me want to pull my hair out. Luke is alright, but then again, just that I remember something that he, like, there's a million things happening at once and they're like time sensitive and he has time to tell Clary the entire story behind them, and I'm like, fine, okay, you just do that, yes. The other one, I think this is like the biggest book I've ever read because it's gigantic, as you can see, it's huge. I took months to get through this. This book is It by Stephen King. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful thing. It's not that I didn't like it. I'm not a huge fan of horror. I mean, movies and TV series. I mean, I did like American Horror Story, but it's more like psychological suspense thing than actual horror, I think. Anyway, Stephen King. I read this because I was dragged to see the movie, part 1. And I was interested to see how the book was, because I also have like a friend of mine who is freaking obsessed with Stephen King. They love Stephen King. It's easy. They freaking love Stephen King. I just posted a video with them and they love Stephen King. So I read it and I liked it, but it's just so freaking huge and I didn't really connect to any of the characters. So it took me long to get through it. I took months. Anyway, moving on. Another one is a book that I'm not really quite sure how to pronounce the name of this book. It's 1Q84, 1Q84, kind of like a play on 1984 from George Orwell. It's from Haruki Murakami. Haruki Murakami. Yes, it's this thing. I've heard of this author before, and I was like, okay, Japanese literature. I went to get into it, and I read the summary, which was intriguing. Like, there is the real world, there is no doubt about that. But in this world, there are two moons in the sky. In this world, the fates of two people, Tango and Aomami, are closely intertwined. They are each in their own way doing something very dangerous. In this world, there seems no way to save both of them. Something extraordinary is starting. And this was like, yes, I want to read this. But then I started reading it, and it's cool. Like, I like the story mostly. It's just there are a lot of scenes where Tango specifically, he's in his perspective, he's just like being very descriptive about his sexual organs. And I can't deal with that. Recently I just started watching Sex Education, and it has a lot of sexual scenes in it, and it's like, it's fine, I'm not shaming it, but I can't watch it. It makes me so uncomfortable. I can't watch it. So like, it's the same reading this stuff, you know, it makes me so uncomfortable. But that's not the worst part. The worst part of this book is that there is a scene with Tango and this girl, I think she's 17, and Tango is like 40 something, okay? And they're having sex. Yeah, and the way he had described her a lot of times before, just like noting her clothes, how tightly they grabbed onto to her chest and all that stuff, and I'm like, I was okay as long as he didn't act on it. And then he acted on it, and I'm like, oh no. But here's the craziest part. This might be a little bit of a spoiler, but Aomami gets pregnant from Tango. When they hadn't met until like the freaking very last few chapters, and they hadn't had sex because the girl, the 17-year-old girl, sort of served as a vessel for them. I still can't get over how weird that is. I still can't get over it. And anyway, it's just, again, it's a huge ass book. I think it's bigger than Stephen King's for sure. And the letters are also pretty tiny. But this is like all three books, because this is a trilogy combined. So I tried to read it as one whole ass book, and it just took me so long. It took me so long! Again, months. But let's move on. It's Emma by Jane Austen. Yes, this is a very old edition. I think I got it at a French bookstore. And the letters, these letters are tiny. Just look at this. They're freaking minimal. But anyway, I love Jane Austen. Like, my first book was Pride and Prejudice, as I assume most people's are. And then I took Emma. And again, it's not that I didn't like it, just that the letters are minimal. And it took me way so long to read because, well, it's a bit of a more posh English. thing, so I took my time reading this thing. I think it was 3 months or something like that. I was still in school, by the way, and I'm still in school, but I was reading this in between classes and reading in classes, and it was just, I took way too long to read this. This isn't even that big. It's like 300 pages. It's 367. 367. I still took 3 months. Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is the Portuguese edition, so the name is like Mil Vezes Adeus, which would be 1,000 time goodbyes, but the original title is Turtles All the Way Down. And this took me less. I didn't like take a month to get through this, but it did take me like 2 weeks. And like I'm not a fast reader. Like I don't usually read a lot of books in just one day. I have to be really into it to read a book in one day. But I usually take like a week, and this took me double. It was so boring. Like, I don't know if I just haven't read John Green in a while, and this was the first book that I picked up from him in years. Because The Fault in Our Stars I read when I was 12, and it was like the book that got me into reading. Well, a lot more than I already was reading. So, I don't know, but it was just so boring. I didn't want to continue, but I was like, no, I'm gonna finish, because I don't like not finishing books. I've only ever like DNF'd one book. One. It was because nothing was happening in the book, like literally nothing. It was just pages and pages of description. I was like, no. I was 100 pages in and I'm just, no. The name of the book was She-Wolf, by the way. I don't remember the author, but yeah. Now there's a book that I still haven't finished, actually, so it's The Tales of H.P. Lovecraft. It's huge in both ways, and this is full of illustrations by Portuguese artists. And I love this book. Like, look at this edition. It's so pretty. I love it. Like, it's beautiful, and it's a lot of his tales. And like, I know he was racist as fuck, but I bought this book before I found out he was racist as fuck. Besides, he's dead. I don't think he's profiting anymore of any of his stories. But anyway, I got this last year, before June, I believe. And I'm only 149 pages in so far. And the book has, let's see, it has 542 pages. Again, I'm not a huge fan of horror. Just getting into the genre, actually. And I know he like revolutionized horror, because before him the genre was like full of vampire stories, ghost stories, normal things, werewolves, that stuff. And then he created these things that don't really have a form, but the way that he described it left enough to imagination for things to get scary in a way. Like, everyone could imagine something that was scary for them, but it's told like it's all like separate tales. And I have a thing with books like these, just like disconnected tales. I don't enjoy them as much. I don't. So it's taken me so long to get through this. I think even by the end of 2020, I still won't have finished this thing. Because I'm stupid. And the other book that I have is one that I actually don't have the physical copy of, because when I moved, I gave it away because it was I didn't want to keep it. I didn't want to have it. It was so boring. It's Shift by Hugo something. I'm gonna put a picture when I find it on the internet, the cover of the book, whatever. It was so long, the book. I think it was like 500 pages, 400. I say 500 for 400 as if that's so long. I read Harry Potter. Harry Potter has 700, and these two from the Japanese author and Stephen King, they're like 1,000 and 100 and I don't even know the number in English. 1,000, 100 and something. But this one was so boring. I couldn't look. I had this bet with my friend when I was reading this book going on that I would finish before vacation that was like coming at the time that I was reading the book. I would finish it during vacation. Guess what didn't happen? Oops. And my friend was like, I knew it. I knew you wouldn't finish it. And I'm like, excuse me, this book is boring as fuck. So it's not like, I took months again. It was just excruciatingly bad. And I think it was Paper Dream's cat talking about the same book, and she was like, there's nothing new about this dystopian society. It's like the same thing that we've all seen, because it's like a group of people living underground. And it's like, yeah, it's been done so many times before. And I don't even know when this book was published, but it's boring. And none of the characters were like interesting. None. That book made me so frustrated. Can you tell? Can you freaking tell? Because I couldn't, for sure. Anyway, these are just books that didn't catch my attention enough to like keep reading fast. If I'm really into a book, I managed to finish it in hours. I finished Uglies, I think, by Scott Westfield in 5 hours. I was in an airplane, not an airplane, I was in the airport waiting for the airplane. And I finished it before in the airplane, like in the first half an hour of the flight. And then there was Radio Silence, which I took 4 hours to read, and that was just because I was taking breaks in between chapters. I could have read that. I could have read it faster. The book has to be really, really, like, good in the way it makes me feel for me to read it that fast. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to spread love. Tell me about some books that you've taken too long to read if you read books, and see you in the next video.